Always not thinking in terms of sectors, but in terms of the goal, and making sure we ask what does it mean for that sector to be part of that solution, as opposed to continuing to be part of the problem or a new problem. You solve a problem here and create a problem there. In fact, if you look at the 17 goals, they haven't really been looked at systemically, and sometimes the solution to one goal actually creates a problem on another goal. So that need to also think systemically. And you know, this was really where the Prime Minister and I started to talk about what might a mission-oriented program look like in Barbados. And it was actually incredibly interesting to start hosting those conversations, but then really what the Prime Minister and her government have done with the social partnership is they've worked very hard in the last year to come up with 6 mission statements, which you know, can, if implemented, and we're at the stage, as she was telling me last night, of starting the implementation phase after a very deliberate execution phase, of what does it then mean for doing things differently? What does it mean for actually changing, for example, how the public and the private sectors work together? What does it mean for actually bringing in citizen engagement into the design of the policies themselves? What does it mean for actually also being able to test what kind of partnerships we have? And I won't read out these 6 different mission areas. I think you might have hopefully been sent the report as you signed up for this conference. But what's very important in all of these is asking, think back to that mission map. What does it mean for starting with those challenges, having the missions, how to bring in as many different sectors together, and then changing the tools or political economic tools to really catalyze that bottom-up experimentation. And so if you look at, for example, the one about starting with that unhealthy planet in crisis, turning it into a mission to become a clean and beautiful large ocean state, not a small island state, championing sustainable development locally and globally with the goal of all domestic activities becoming 100% sustainable by 2025, and really thinking what it means for all sectors. Instead of thinking of tourism as a key sector critical to Barbados, which of course it is, the question becomes, what is the role of the tourism sector to help achieve that goal? What are the different types of conditionalities, new contracts between the hotels and different types of public policies in order to make sure that those hotels themselves are training, staff are transforming how they themselves build, are thinking about repurpose, recycle, reuse throughout the whole supply chain of the tourism sector. And of course, this isn't just about the hotels and tourism, but the whole, again, supply chain. And what does it mean to also have principles along the way? And these principles were incredibly important outcomes of this stakeholder consultation and the workshops that were held around the missions. Think of this almost as like a human rights approach, which is something that we're doing with some housing policies in Spain. You might have a housing for all mission, but how do we make sure that a human rights approach, and we have a declaration of human rights globally, by the way, that is hardly ever used for the legal accountability of the design of the interactions. It was very interesting to see how certain principles were agreed on in terms of these 6 missions around making sure that along the way, these interactions between the sectors and the bottom-up experimentation, the public-private citizenship relationships were also bounded by principles of safeguarding and promoting Barbados' culture and identity, enfranchising workers and reducing poverty, encouraging innovation and digitalization, keeping Barbados healthy and safe, leveraging geography as a logistics hub, share the burden, share the bounty.